Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. It is 2:15. I needed to do this because I started a podcast. So, guys, if you get any value out of this, share this. I'll put links to the podcast in later on in the comments, and I appreciate it if you do. Like and share. That's all I can say. But I figured since I'm going to be starting a whole new audience, or hopefully we're starting a whole new audience, that I would introduce myself and tell my story. Because the reality is that we all have stories and they're all unique, but that doesn't mean that our story might not help someone else, which is why we share them. Because it's not about lifting people up, it's about helping them stand up and saying, hey, you can do this. So that's what we do. We stand with you and we walk with you, and that's where I'm at. So anyway, real quick, my name is Mike Madden, in case you don't know. And I am a health coach. I didn't used to be a health coach. I've held many jobs in my life, done many, many things in my life. Some of them regrettable, no such thing. Some of them I probably should not have done, but I learned from them. And that's the most important part. And I had a lot of jobs. People used to say, yo, you're a jack of all trades. Yeah, but I was a master of none of them. And I wasn't even a master of myself, which leads me to the point where in 2017, my wife Joan had been doing this little quote unquote, for me at least, diet. And we went to a food fair, and I'll give a shout out to a good friend of mine and recommend if you're in Hamilton, New Jersey, stop by my friend at Canino's Manila Express and try a cannoli. But we went down to Atlantic City to a food truck show to catch up with her so that I could have a cannoli on my birthday in 2017. And I asked Joan to take my picture with my cannoli. That picture, which is now one of my stalwarts when it comes to my before and after, came as a shock to me. I'd like to put it to you that way. It came as a shock to me. I know that sounds funny, but you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I knew I was heavy. I knew I had a stomach. I knew all those things. But I never really put two and two together and said that what I was doing to myself was what was hurting me, if that makes any sense. But that day, when I looked at that picture to post it, I knew it was time for a change. And I knew it was me who had to do it. So I told Joan, sign me up. I'm in. And that began my journey. That was June 4th I started of 2017. And we had some bumps. I had some major bumps. I guess the easiest way to say it is I am an alcoholic. And Mikey drank every day. And that's something I didn't like to admit. And the funny part is, like, I could go for a day without a drink, but when I did touch the bottle, it never left my side. Let me put it to you that way. So part of the way our program works is that you don't consume alcohol while you're doing it. And if you do, un poquito, very little, right? Un poquito. But I said, all right, I can control this. If we go somewhere for a dinner or something, I'll have a drink or whatever. Well, that didn't work out so well. And let's just say that things didn't go well for Mike one day. And the aftermath of that was me being in pain, fortunate, and everyone around me was fortunate, and realizing that I was not in control of that part of my life. And again, looking at myself, not anyone else. It wasn't anyone else's fault what happened to me. It was my fault. So I said, how do I react to this? What do I do to make this better? And my answer was, turn the switch off. That's going to sound a little weird, but for me, it's like a switch. This is my life. This is my journey of addiction. And I can turn that switch on or I can turn that switch off. And I know that sounds weird, but whether you realize it or not, you have the same power. You just don't know it because you never had to do it. And yes, having support is important. One of the reasons AA works is because they build the support in for you to turn that switch off. Didn't go to AA, guys, just so you know. I will up front, I'm telling you, I didn't go to AA. That's not a slam on AA. I think AA is a wonderful thing. It helps a lot of people. Matter of fact, it saved many, many lives and built some people up from nothing because let's face it, when you're stuck in that cycle, you're not moving. You're just sliding through life, right? Or going downhill. Depends. So a lot to be said for it. But the thing is, our program, not dissimilar to AA, gives you a lot of support. You have a personal coach. You have a community around you. We have a whole Facebook page of people who are doing the program with us, who are doing the same thing we're doing. We have an instruction manual that comes with it. 2 books. One's called a life book. So I dug in, and then the man who wrote the program wrote a book once called Stop, Challenge, Choose. It's pretty straightforward. If you're going to do something, stop yourself and say, will this get me to where I want to be later? If the answer is no, maybe choose something else. So, but that's, So Mikey made a choice that day. Now, full disclosure, Joan was out of town, wasn't real happy that I was racked up and not feeling so good, and sent her pictures of it. But I said to myself, turn the switch off. And when she came home from her trip, I sat her down and I said, look, I know I upset you, but I need to tell you this. And I explained the switch, that I have that switch. And I told her today, well, actually the day after I had my last drink was the day I turned that switch off. It was another week before I got to talk to Joan. And I turned that switch off. And I never looked back. And so determined, this is how determined I was never to touch another drink. In the town we lived in, the next town over, actually 2 towns over, it's called Medford Lakes, New Jersey. And Medford Lakes every year does an event called a Canoe Carnival, which is a really cool thing. If you ever get down there, I think it's the first week in August. First weekend of August. And these people take canoes and elaborately decorate them. And just, it's really cool. And then they float down through the lakes that are there. And then it's just a night, it turns into a night of partying after the Canoe Carnival part is over. So Joan's friends who are coming into town from out of town want to meet at this particular bar. This is 3 weeks after I quit. We went to that bar at 8 o'clock at night. And I sat there and drank soda or water till 2 a.m. talking with people. And that was the weirdest feeling in my life because you know what? I showed myself that I didn't need to do that anymore. And as I got more distant from it, now it's not even a thought anymore. In fact, sometimes I forget to tell this part of it because it's not important to me anymore. I don't care. I joke about it now. People say, oh, well, let's go get a drink. I'm like, I'm a quitter. It's not easy. I give people credit if they can get over this, because you know what? It's something you have to really work at to get rid of. So, long story short, too late, right? I started this program at 196 pounds. I started my journey at 196 pounds. By November, well, let me backtrack for a minute. I had a goal, because you know what? Just like a GPS in your car, when you get in your car, you know where you want to go. But if you don't know where you're going, you have to program it into your GPS nowadays, right? Before we used to just get a map out. But you have to program it into your GPS. Now your GPS is going to tell you, hey, turn left, turn right. That's sort of what coaches are. We're your GPS too. The destination is your choice. So I chose to go to 155 pounds. And it's funny because I was on a call with a bunch of other people that are on the program, and a guy asked me my goal, and I told him 155 pounds. And he said to me, are you sure? What do you mean? Yeah, 155 pounds. He's like, all right, let me know. Okay. Well, when I got to 155 pounds, I wasn't happy. I didn't feel it. And I kept going. And I took my weight down to 144 pounds. 144 pounds. And that's where I felt the most comfortable. Still do. Today, what is it now? 3.5 years later, I am about 2 pounds heavier, tops. And that's on a given day. Some days I am, sometimes I'm not. Depends on what I eat the night before. But I don't deviate much from what the system is. I eat 6 times a day. I follow my program. And believe it, there's a plan and there's a program. I'll explain all that in another day. But the program is a lifelong adventure to better health and optimizing your body. And I do the program. I live the program. People look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them I eat 6 times a day. But I do. And Joan thinks I eat Joan's like, she looked at me like, how do you eat so much? It looks like I'm eating a lot. But I found the secret to eating a lot, not being hungry, and not gaining weight. If that makes sense to you, good. I'm glad to hear it. So that's really what happened. There's a lot more to it, because then once you begin to help other people lose the weight and lose the mental attitude and lose all that and gain financial freedom, and you do all those things, when you become a coach to help other people, you're actually continuing your journey, not just physically, but mentally. And you're building layer on layer on layer of knowledge on yourself about motivation, about people, about life, about sharing, about coaching, about leading, about all of those things. Was it Jim Rohn? Said, yeah, Jim Rohn said, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Think about that. Work harder on yourself than you do at your job. And your rewards will come. Abraham Lincoln didn't graduate grade school, but he studied on his own. He became a lawyer, and he became president. Einstein struggled. And look what he's done. Everybody says Einstein. It's part of nomenclature. If you dig in and you do the work on your mind and on your abilities and on your training, and you learn it and you discipline yourself to follow the steps you need to do, the GPS that's provided for you by life. Don't forget, your destination, though, right? Your destination. You determine where you're going. If you let someone else do it, when you go home at night, you're just going to sit there and be bored and turn on the TV and forget life exists. Is that what you want for your life? Is that, I mean, I used to think that was cool. I'd go home and I'd get my drink and I'd turn on the TV and that was my end of my night. Leave me alone. Not anymore. I want to get out there and have some fun and I would do stuff. And besides just walking the dogs, but that's another story. So that's my story up till today. That's where I'm at. And thanks for listening. And there's more coming. You guys have a great day.